This is one of my favourite method feeder hook baits, whether I'm fishing for big carp, bream, even smaller carp and F1s. A nice semi-buoyant yellow 5mm bait plus a big hook combination is often the way to go. Yellow seems to catch me fish on loads of different venues. You can see it stands out really well. Most of the venues I go to, yellow seems to work nicely. But this video is all about the hook length arrangement. It's a really simple way of tying this little hook length, and I use this now for nearly all of my method feeder work, rod and line work where I'm using a hair rig, even pellet waggler work when I'm using bait bands. If you're putting a component actually in the hair or on the hair, like a spike, a quick stop, a bait band, this is a great way of tying the no knot hook length, and it is literally no knots. There's not even a knot in the end. So we'll show you how to tie that now. I've done this video in the past and a few people complained about the background, so we're doing it on a nice dark background. Hopefully everyone can see what's going on. Hook choice. Now, I know a lot of people will use circle style hooks, QM1s. I know that different companies do circle style hooks and they are brilliant, you know. For me though, personal choice, when I'm fishing method feeder, I want as great a chance of that hook point catching hold in a fish's mouth as possible. And for me, a slightly straighter point, I know this isn't a fully straight point hook, but it's got more of a straighter point than a QM1 or any other circle hook. This is giving me a better chance, in my head at least, of hooking a fish when he picks up the bait and tries to eject it. So a straighter point hook is the way to go for me. This is a size 10 KKH, Preston KKH. It's barbless hook. It's been a hook that I've used for quite a while now when I've been method feeder fishing, and it seems to be a fantastic hook. Other hooks to look at, Guru Pellet Waggler. They are brilliant hooks, super sharp, but this straighter style hook, for me, I just feel I hook a few more fish. And I've had a few fish where they've been hooked outside the mouth. Obviously you land those fish and you see that the hook has been, you've hooked the fish actually just on the corner of the mouth or just outside the mouth. I think they're bonus fish that I probably wouldn't have caught with a circle style hook. Now, I understand that a lot of people use those circle hooks and believe that they're probably losing less fish because of the nature of the hook. It just doesn't want to come out. And that's probably true, if I'm honest. But I do feel that using a size 10 hook, you probably shouldn't lose fish anyway. It's probably a case of, if you're using balance tackle, the right rod, the right line, the right weight feeder and elastic, a size 10 hook shouldn't really be coming out of the fish anyway. So that's my choice of hook. I think it's just about making tiny little gains with your fishing, and I think this is just a little tiny gain. Next component we need is a little spike. So we've got our little spike. Loads of companies do these spikes. I like a nice lightweight bayonet. I'd rather use a lighter bayonet than those heavier sort of ones that you can get. I know those heavier bayonets are obviously a bit stronger. They fit in the bait, especially a hard bait, a little bit nicer. But try and find some nice soft baits where this standard style bayonet with lighter wire gauge is going to go in without bending. It just means that your hook bait wafts better. It means your hook bait moves much better than when you sort of like putting a really heavy bit of metal inside it. Next component is the line. I've just cut off a 12-inch length of 020 line. This is midi low vis. You know me. Once I find something that I like, I use it until I can't use it. And I've still got a few stocks of this line. Anyone that's got a better alternative, shout up now, but I'm really confident in this line. I've still got a few spools. I'll still be using it while I can. So there we go. Really, really simple components, and it's a really simple rig to tie up. Like I say, I've showed you this one before, but hopefully with this black background, you'll be able to see it a lot clearer. First things first, hook goes on the line. We're going to go front to back with the hook. And we're going to then thread our bayonet onto the line. So now we've got a bayonet and a hook on the line. We've not tied anything on, we're not tying the bayonet on. And now it's a case, this is a lot easier for me because I've got little girly hands, of folding the line back on itself and folding that tag up the shank of the hook. So now we've got our bayonet sitting in a loop that's not attached to anything. And we're there now going to tie our knotless knot and just trap that line against the shank of the hook. And we're going to go a long way down because we need to make sure everything sits in line. Now I know a lot of people will use a little bit of float rubber or a little bit of silicone when they're tying a standard hair, and they'll trap the hair to the shank with a bit of silicone, but I do prefer this way. I think it's a little bit less faffy. I don't want to be cutting off little bits of silicone all the time and putting it on the line, and I just think this keeps everything nicely in line anyway. So now we've whipped all the way down. Now we're going to take this tag of line, we're going to try and get it through first time if we can. We're going to go through the back of the spade, back of the eye to the front. That's how we tie our knotless knot. We've now got our bayonet sitting beautifully in a little loop. Now, if that was a quick stop or a bait band, I might want to keep that loop quite long, and I'll put my hook bait in a bait band, or like I say, in a quick stop, keep that loop nice and long. But because I'm fishing with a wafter, I want my hook bait reasonably close to my hooks. When a fish takes that hook bait in, I want it to take my hook in as well. So what we'll do now is we'll put a wafter on and we'll get a gauge to how close we want that wafter to our hook. When we're fishing with method feeders, we want everything nice and tight because the fish is sort of like sitting over our bait and sucking everything up. So we go, get our wafter on the hook, and you can see there it's a long way from our hook. And because we've left that tag above the hook, we can now take some pliers or use our teeth or whatever you want to do, pull that tag and get it nice and tight. I think a little bit more, so we'll pull that tag again. Wafter keeps falling off. Let's get him back on properly. There we go. So that is where we want it. We want probably about a millimetre or two between the hook and the bayonet there for a bit of movement. It's all about movement, this rig is. So that wafter now can actually waft. The hook should stay nice and flat because it's a nice heavy hook, and the wafter will sit above the hook and waft. Now we don't want that tag there, so what we're going to do is we're going to snip him off. There we go. We can tie off that hook length to whatever length we want. I'll be using 3 inches for this particular rig because it's a method feeder rig, and I think a nice 3-inch hook length is brilliant for all sizes of fish. And that is our finished rig. Like I say, wafter can waft, loads of movement, really nice and neat, no knots at all in the whole rig, super strong, it will never let you down, the ideal method feeder hook length.